From mediocre fight cards, to Jon Jones wasting Tom Aspinall's prime, to Dana White seemingly ditching the UFC for boxing and other promotions, the main question I've been seeing all over the internet is the UFC dying? Honestly, compared to the other years, the UFC in 2025 hasn't really been off to a great start. We had pretty good events like UFC 311, 314, and maybe Ian Gary versus Carlos Prates, but other than that, it's just been mediocre card after mediocre card. But one of the main causes as to why we're constantly getting bad cards is the fact that the UFC aren't making the fights that make sense. The fact that a lot of us are literally begging the UFC to not book Yair Rodriguez versus Volkanovski 2 after Volk absolutely demolished Yair in their first fight is one of the many dumb matchmaking decisions the UFC's made this year. But in reality, the UFC should be booking Mosavar, who was on a 9-fight win streak against Volkanovski at UFC 320, and make Lopez versus Yair settle their beef at Noche UFC in September. And thankfully, with Noche UFC getting moved from Guadalajara, Mexico to San Antonio, and also with it becoming a fight night instead of a pay-per-view, we might not end up getting the rematch between Yair and Volkanovski, and hopefully they end up cancelling Evloev versus Aaron Pico and give Mosavar his long-deserved title shot. Another point about how dumb the matchmakers have been recently could be made with the whole Islam versus Ilya fight, where that was a fight that made the most sense at lightweight. They had the bad blood. Arman Sarukian is currently in timeout. Oliveira didn't really deserve it after beating Chandler and losing to Arman, and Gaethje needed at least one more win before fighting for the belt. But instead of the UFC either booking that fight or letting Islam keep the belt when he moved up to welterweight, they forced Islam to vacate, leading to Ilya versus Oliveira, which is still going to be a good fight. But come on, we all wanted Ilya versus Islam. And speaking of the UFC apparently forcing Islam to vacate, that brings me to my next point. Jon Jones. That's it. Just Jon Bones Jones. But really though, what is he doing? Like, it literally makes zero sense. If he's gonna retire, then why hasn't he just vacated the belt and retired already? And if he's actually fighting Aspinall, then how come either Tom, John, or Dana hasn't said anything about it actually happening? And I know for a while now, Dana White has been saying that it's gonna happen for sure this year, but Dana said a lot of things in the past that didn't end up coming to fruition. But personally, I do think that the fight's gonna happen eventually, most likely at Madison Square Garden in November. It's just that one of the biggest issues with this fight is the fact that both Tom and John continue to post on social media that they have this massive announcement, only for it to either be a meet and greet or a sponsorship deal. And it's slowly already killing the hype and the build-up to what could be one of, if not the biggest fight in the history of the organization. And throughout all of this drama between Jon Jones versus Aspinall, Ilya versus Islam, the bad matchmaking, and the lightweight division being in a mess a few weeks ago, Dana White was almost nowhere to be found to make the fights that matter happen. Which brings me to my last point. Why is Dana White trying to branch out to boxing while the UFC is seemingly in a mess right now? It seems as if Dana barely has any care for the UFC anymore, as he doesn't show up to some of the events like UFC 315's post-fight conference, for example. And instead of him making and announcing fights and getting some fighters that are stalling out their divisions to fight, like Jon Jones, he's either opening trading cards, trying to promote Power Slap, or having Nina Drama do some corny ass shit instead. And with all the rumors going around of Dana White starting his own boxing promotion, this only means that it's most likely going to end up overlapping the UFC promotion and matchmaking wise. But what do y'all think? Do you guys think the UFC is slowly going downhill compared to the past few years? Or do you think the sport's about to get bigger than ever once they get a deal with either Netflix or Amazon Prime once their ESPN deal is up? And I know I disappeared for like 3 months, and that's on me, that's my bad. It's just that I got super distracted with other things, but it's all good because we're back now. And I'm also do a little promo as well, just a little promo. But go ahead and follow me on Twitch, because I'm gonna start streaming and doing some variety things over there. And I'm gonna still continue to post vids on this channel too. Obviously, I'm not gonna abandon it. So I'll drop the link in the description just in case y'all wanna show some love over there too. And my bad for the yap, Sesh. Please like and sub up, and thank you for watching.